Am I the a-hole for leaving my mother's birthday party without saying a word? Or when silence screams louder than cake candles, my friends take a breath with me. Because this is one of those stories where a single sentence, a single look, a single memory activated at the wrong damn time turns a perfectly staged family celebration into emotional arson. And yes, before you ask, this is absolutely an AITA situation. Moral judgment pending. Jury emotionally compromised. So grab a coffee, a glass of wine, a soda, or whatever keeps you sane and sit with me. Welcome to Lying Whispers, where secrets don't knock, they kick the door in and smile for the camera. Like the video, subscribe, comment early if you already think you know where this is going, and stay until the end. Because the truth always waits for dessert. Part 1. The party everyone pretended was a no-ar. If she arrived exactly 7 minutes late. Not fashionably late. Not dramatically late. 7 minutes, the kind of late that says I didn't rush, but I also didn't want to be early enough to help. Her name doesn't matter. Trust me. She could be your cousin, your coworker, or that girl from college who always smiled like she had already forgiven everyone even when she absolutely had not. The house smelled like vanilla frosting and unresolved childhood trauma. Classic combo. Her mother's birthday party was already in full performance mode. Streamers taped a little crooked. A playlist curated by someone who thinks nostalgia can fix anything. Laughter floating just loud enough to sound convincing. And there she was. The mother, smiling. Perfectly rehearsed. You know that smile. The one that says, look how well I did. Look how functional this family turned out. My friends, that smile should come with a warning label. She hugged her daughter quick, efficient, arms barely tightening. The kind of hug that checks a box instead of opening a heart. Oh, you made it, the mother said. Not I'm happy you're here. Just you exist. If you exist. Already I was tired. The protagonist handed over the gift. Wrapped carefully. Chosen thoughtfully. A small peace offering disguised as scented candles and polite effort. The mother loved it. Of course she did. She always loved things, just not conversations that came with consequences. And here's where it gets interesting. Because the party was fine. Too fine. Relatives chatted. Drinks clinked. Someone told a joke that had been told every year since 2011. Everyone laughed on cue. And then the sentence happened. It didn't come from the mother. Oh no. That would have been too direct. It came from an aunt. Because it always comes from an aunt. Well, the aunt said, smiling sweetly, at least you turned out normal. Silence! Not the dramatic kind. The subtle, poisonous kind. Normal. The word floated in the air like a mosquito you know is about to bite, but you can't see yet. The protagonist felt it immediately. That familiar tightening in her chest. That old reflex. Normal compared to what, exactly? She glanced at her mother. Just a quick look. Just enough. And her mother smiled. Not confused. Not uncomfortable. Not defensive. Proud. And my friends, that was the moment the cake candles might as well have gone out. Part 2. When the past shows up, union v AITA is the thing no one tells you about growing up in a nice family. Nothing explodes. Nothing looks abusive in photographs. There are no obvious villains, just 1,000 small erasures. Her childhood wasn't loud. It was quiet. Quiet dinners. Quiet expectations. Quiet disappointment dressed up as concern. Don't be dramatic. You're too sensitive. That's not how I remember it. Ah, yes. The holy trinity of emotional gaslighting. So when that aunt said normal, the memory didn't knock. It kicked. Suddenly she was 12 again, standing in the kitchen, explaining why she felt hurt only to be told she was imagining things. She was 16, crying in her room, hearing laughter downstairs. She was 22, apologizing for boundaries she didn't even understand yet. And her mother? Always calm. Always composed. Always right. At the party, no one noticed the shift. Why would they? She was still smiling. Still holding her drink. Still nodding politely. But inside? Oh, inside she was already packing her emotional bags. The cake was brought out. Everyone sang. She sang too, softly, mechanically. And then her mother made a toast. Big mistake. I just want to say, the mother began, tapping her glass, that I'm so proud of this family. We've had our challenges, but we've always stayed strong. And look at us now. She gestured around the room. Then, without even looking, she added, and I'm especially proud of my daughter for finally finding her place. Finally. My friends, if passive aggression were an Olympic sport, this woman would have medals. The protagonist felt something snap, not loudly, not violently, but cleanly. Like a thread being cut. Part 3, the excite. Tishi didn't argue. Didn't cry. Didn't make a scene. She set her glass down. Picked up her bag. And she walked out. No goodbye. No explanation. No dramatic monologue. Just gone. The door closed softly behind her. Inside the house, confusion bloomed. Where did she go? Did something happen? Was it something I said? Cue the chaos. Cue the whispers. Cue the mother suddenly looking very concerned, but only because the audience had noticed. Outside, the air felt colder, cleaner. She sat in her car for a moment, hands on the wheel, heart pounding like it had just been given permission to exist. She didn't feel guilty. Not yet. She felt relieved. And that's when the phone started vibrating. Part 4, the aftermath. BGNSX messages poured in. Are you okay? That was rude. Your mom is crying. You embarrassed her. You could have just stayed. Ah, yes, the greatest hits. No one asked why she left. Only why she ruined the vibe. Her mother didn't text at first. She waited. Strategic silence. Classic move. Finally, one message arrived. I don't know what I did to deserve this. My friends, if you've ever read a sentence and felt 12 again, you know. She stared at the screen. Thought about replying. About explaining. Then she laughed. A small, bitter laugh. Because explaining had never worked before. Part 5, so AITA. So here we are. A daughter who left her mother's birthday party without a word. A family divided. A mother wounded or at least theatrically inconvenienced. Was it immature? Maybe. Was it necessary? Also maybe. Was it cruel to leave silently? Or was it crueler to expect her to stay and swallow herself again? My friends, mis amigos, this is where I turn to you. AITA for walking away instead of performing forgiveness on command. Would you have stayed? Explained? Or done exactly what she did, chosen peace over cake? If you made it this far, support with a like you're officially emotionally invested now. Comment your verdict. Share this with someone who knows exactly what that look feels like. And don't worry, this story isn't over. Because next comes the confrontation. And trust me, silence was only the opening act. Comment below, my friends, I need to know what you would do in her place. Part 6, when silence stops work on G. By the next morning, the family group chat was on life support. No memes, no good morning. Just tension so thick you could butter toast with it. Then came the message. From the mother. I think we need to talk. Ah, yes. 4 words that have ended more inner peace than any breakup ever has. The protagonist read it 3 times. Didn't answer. Not because she didn't care, but because she cared too much and she knew the pattern. Talk meant defend yourself politely. Talk meant explain your feelings calmly while being interrupted. Talk meant leave apologizing for a crime you didn't commit. Still, she agreed. Because hope is stubborn like that. Part 7, the conversation that was never a Sion Vierziti Owen. They met at the mother's house. Neutral territory. Or so the mother claimed. The same living room. Same couch. Same family photos, smiling down like witnesses who would never testify. The mother didn't waste time. I was humiliated, she said. Straight to the point. No warm-up, not are you okay? Not what happened. Humiliated. The protagonist nodded slowly. Not in agreement. In recognition. Here we go. You left without saying anything, the mother continued. Everyone noticed. Do you know how that made me look? And there it was. Not how it made you feel. How it made you look. My friends, if emotional priorities were fingerprints, this one was crystal clear. I didn't feel safe staying, the protagonist said carefully. The mother laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, please. Safe from what? Cake? Mockery subtle, practiced, lethal. The protagonist felt her jaw tighten. I felt dismissed. Again, she said. That comment about me finally finding my place? That hurt. The mother sighed. Long. The sigh of a woman burdened by someone else's feelings. You're too sensitive, she said. I didn't mean it like that. Ah, the classic spell. If I didn't mean it, then it didn't happen. Part 8, the gaslighting OIMPAs. See as what followed was not a discussion. It was a highlight reel. The mother reframed, minimized, redirected. She reminded her. Daughter of everything she had provided. Food. Education. Sacrifice. As if love were a receipt. You always do this, the mother said. Turn everything into a drama. You ruined my birthday. Ruined my friends notice how the hurt daughter had somehow become the villain again. The protagonist stood up. Her hands were shaking, but her voice wasn't. I didn't ruin your birthday, she said. I stopped ruining myself. Silence. Real silence this time. The mother stared at her like she had just spoken a foreign language. That's unfair, the mother said quietly. No, the protagonist replied. It's just unfamiliar. And then she left. Again, this time with words. This time with intention. Part 9, the family picks SID as news travels fast when dysfunction feels threatened. Calls came in. Texts followed. Some cousins understood. Others didn't. One message stood out, she's your mother. You only get one. Ah yes. The emotional guilt grenade. As if biology erased behavior. As if longevity equaled immunity. The protagonist didn't respond. She didn't need to. Because something had shifted. For the first time, she wasn't asking, was I wrong? She was asking, why did I stay silent for so long? Part 10, the verdict or lack of Oeniso, AITA. Is she the asshole for leaving a party? For choosing herself over appearances? For refusing to perform gratitude while bleeding quietly? Or is this just what happens when someone finally stops playing the role assigned to them? My friends, mis amigos, this story doesn't end with forgiveness or estrangement. It ends with clarity. And clarity is uncomfortable, especially for people who benefited from your confusion. So now I ask you, would you have stayed? Would you have explained? Or would you have walked out too silently, unapologetically finally? Comment below, my friends, I need to know what you would do in this situation. Like, share. Send this to someone who's been called too sensitive one too many times. Because sometimes leaving is the answer. And sometimes silence is the loudest truth of all. Part 11, the aftershock, nobody talks ABO. Here is the part no one posts about on social media. After the dramatic exit. After the confrontation. After the I finally stood up for myself moment comes the quiet. No texts, no calls. No fake concern wrapped in passive emojis. Just absence. And my friends, absence can be louder than yelling. The protagonist woke up one morning and reached for her phone instinctively like she always had. Nothing. No. Did you sleep well? No, we need to talk. No guilt-less follow-up. At first it felt like peace. Then it felt like abandonment. And that's when the doubt crept in. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I should have stayed. Maybe leaving without explaining really was cruel. Ah yes, the internal reruns. Because when you grow up being told you're too much, your brain becomes a defense attorney for everyone who hurt you. Part 12, the memory she couldn't it hit her in the most ridiculous way. A song. One of those songs her mother loved, always played during cleaning days, windows open, pretending everything was fresh and new. The music came on in a cafe. And suddenly she was 7 again. Standing in the doorway. Watching her mother laugh with someone else. Waiting to be noticed. She remembered how she learned early that love wasn't something you received, it was something you earned by being convenient. By being quiet. By being impressive. By not needing too much. And my friends, that's when the truth landed. She didn't leave the party because of one comment. She left because her body finally recognized a pattern her mind had been excusing for decades. Part 13, when the mother returns, of course, silence never lasts forever in families like this. 2 weeks later, the message arrived. I've been thinking. Dangerous opening line. I don't think you understand how hard it was for me raising you. There it was. The rewrite. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't again. The protagonist read the message calmly. No shaking hands. No racing heart. Progress. She typed a response. Deleted it. Typed again. Finally, she sent "I understand. I just want keep hurting myself to make you comfortable. No accusations. No drama. Just a boundary. And oh my friends, boundaries are kryptonite to people who benefited from your lack of them." Part 14. The LA family adapted quickly. Not by changing behavior, don't be ridiculous, but by changing the story. She's distant now. She's cold. She's changed, as if growth were a betrayal. The protagonist heard it all through third parties. Screenshots, voice notes, side comments at gatherings she no longer attended. And for the first time, she didn't rush to correct the narrative. She let them misunderstand her. Because peace is expensive and she was done paying with her sanity. Part 15. The unexpected euphoria. Here's the plot twist no one warns you about. Once you stop auditioning for love, life gets quieter. Better sleep. Fewer apologies. More room to breathe. She laughed more real laughs. Not the polite, family-safe kind. She started choosing herself in small ways. Then bigger ones. And sometimes late at night, she still wondered, was I wrong? But the question sounded different now. Less desperate. More curious. Part 16. So let me ask you, AGHan, my friends, Miss Amigos AITA, for leaving a party, or was that the moment she finally arrived to herself? Would you accept the label? Would you go back just to be understood? Or would you let them keep the version of you that was easier to control? Because here is the uncomfortable truth, not everyone deserves access to the healed version of you. And sometimes walking away isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a much better one. So tell me, what would you have done? Comment it. Like it. Share it with someone who's quietly questioning their own overreaction. And stay close, my friends, because the loudest whispers always come after you choose yourself. Part 21. The real Ian Dianji. So did it end with reconciliation? Not exactly. Did it end with estrangement? No, it ended with choice. She learned she could love her mother without shrinking. She learned she could leave without disappearing. She learned that walking out once taught everyone, including herself, how serious she was about her own worth. And that birthday party? It stopped being the scandal. It became the turning point. Final verdict, AITA? My friends, Miss Amigos, no. She wasn't the asshole. She was the boundary. And boundaries always look rude to people who never expected you to have them. So now it's your turn. Would you have gone back? Would you have kept your distance? Would you have left the first time or stayed and suffered quietly? Comment it. My friends, I genuinely need to know what you would have done. Like, share. Send this to someone who's learning that choosing themselves isn't cruelty. And remember, sometimes the loudest rebellion is simply refusing to stay uncomfortable for someone else's comfort. Now tell me, are we really done, or did this story hit a little too close to home?